我想要先说，我真的很高兴回来了。It feels great to be back。我今天来到 Toastmasters 的时候，心里面有一种感觉，就是景物依旧，人事有一半非。那我今天觉得，我刚刚好是在今年的最后一个会议来参加，重新加入 Toastmasters。其实我觉得非常的
具有意义。
具有意义，对，真的是很有意义。因为呢，我已经很久没有回来了，所以我就注意到一些很熟悉的东西，跟注意到一些我觉得很新的东西。There are some things that feel familiar, but also many things that are different. And today I wanted to talk about the things that I noticed that are different and the things that I noticed that are familiar. So let's start with the familiar part. As usual, Toastmasters is a place full of enthusiasm. Today I saw how the audience interacted with the speakers on stage, how there was a lot of support from the audience. Today, when the Toastmaster forgot the actual flow of the event, the people from the audience were very willing to help him remember what the next step is, and were very supportive of him, cheering him on. Today, even the all counters and the timers got a round of applause and a lot of cheers from the audience. Today, the all counter said something that I thought that I've never seen before. The all counter, other than explaining what the all counter's role is, she also says the way to avoid odds is to slow down. Now that's a piece of advice that I haven't heard in a long time. Worth a shot. That's something that I think is a little bit different. Usually when we think of word of the day, somebody would come up and give a word. Instead, today Jack gave us a phrase, which I think is great. 值得一试. So we haven't had a phrase in a long time. Yeah? Oh. I've forgotten about the motions too. Today I loved the interactions that I've seen between the speakers and the audience. For example, today when Clara was talking about fear, she asked, "What are you afraid of?" And then immediately Joe says, "Paul." I love it. And then when Molly was talking about how much, or was that actually Clara? When we were talking about time, how much time a day we spend on phones, that was Clara. Alice says, 25 hours. And then lastly, I thought this was such a kicker, I forget who it was, but when Nick was on stage and he says, 他说当时我上班就是为了钱. As usual, there was a lot of laughter today from the audience. Now, the things that I noticed were different today that I really loved is, first of all, obviously, there were so many new members. Oh my goodness, I haven't been back in half a year, and half of the people, I don't know what their names are.
Because you're a new member.
Because I'm the new member. So it's totally my fault that I don't know people's names. Anyway, and with a new set of people, I saw a lot of personality in today's speeches. So for example, I really loved how today Clara, when she was on stage, she used a lot of flashcards as an aid to her speeches. I loved how today when Molly was on stage, she had all these cute emoji post-its. Yes. Right? And I thought it really it brightened up her speech and it stood out because I've never seen anybody do that before. And also how she utilized the whiteboard really well. But also I really liked how Jack today went for his language evaluation. Look at all the work that he gave us, right? A very matter-of-fact, kind of factual language evaluation, right? Very informational. And lastly, we saw how Jenny came up to deliver her end of the year VP speech. And I thought it was so moving. 我听到他的演讲的时候，我就觉得非常的温馨，非常的振奋人心，而且也让我充满了愧疚。Also, something that I really loved that happened today is we got to invite so many of our guests to speak for us today. Today we had, I think out of the 7 table topic speakers, we had 3 or 4 that are actually guests. And the reason why I love this is because we get to hear perspectives from people that we're not that familiar with, right? Every time we come to Toastmasters and it's always the same people, it's always Paul, it's always Lester, always Eric, always Jenny, always Jack. It's great, and Emily and Alice, right? It's great to hear from people who are new to the club or who are exploring for the first time. And I think it's great. 当然，身为 General Evaluator， 我一定还是要给大家一些可以指点的地方。第一就是，大家知道 Eric 他今天没有付钱吗？我不是要 evaluate Eric 哦，为什么他没有付钱？因为那边没有人接待他。哦，所以呢，今天 Eric 他就混进来了，所以我们这样就少赚了一笔钱，所以我们还是需要有，我们还是需要有。
Told you to say it.
Yeah. And then the last piece of advice is I want all of the session masters, when they introduce people, when a speaker is done speaking, they also make a few comments about the things that they've said on stage. So for example, this even applies to the table topics, general evaluation, and the Toastmaster of the evening. Thank you! Toastmaster of the evening. Toastmaster of the evening.